Hi everyone. So today we will be discussing the IGCSE Mathematics A Paper 2H June 2021. Okay, so starting off with the first question. Write 600 as a product of powers of its prime factors and show your working theory. So to do this, the easiest way I believe you would keep on dividing 600 by prime factors. You would keep on dividing 600 by prime factors. So you could do either the tree method or you could just go down using a ladder method. So either method is fine. So this is quite easy. But just make sure that when you divide, keep dividing by prime number. So I'll choose the smallest prime, which is 2. So 600 divided by 2 is 300. So divided by 2 again, we get 150. Divide that by 2 again, we get 75. So, okay, so that's the end of dividing by 2. So next we could divide by 3. So you could have 75, you divide by 3, the prime number, and then that's 25. 75 divided by 3, you get 25. So then the next prime number after 3, we have 5. So 25 can be is divisible by 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So again, dividing by 5 until we reach 1. So you end up seeing that 600 is made up of the prime factors. So you have 2 repeated thrice, 3 once, and 5 repeated twice. So as a product, so 600 as a product of its prime factors would give you 2 to the power 3 into 3 into 5 to the power of 2. So that should be your answer. 2 to the power 3 into 5 to the power of 2. Okay. Right. Question number 2. Show that 2 4 over 7 divided by 1 1 over 8 equals 2 2 over 7. Okay. So you can see we have a whole bunch of mixed fractions here. So it's a show that, which means you need to show clear working here. So I'll start from the left side. So 2 4 over 7 divided by 1 1 over 8. Okay, so what we do here is the first thing that you can do here, you need to show your working here because it's show the 3 marks. So I'll turn this mixed fraction into an improper fraction. So I end up getting here 7 times 2, 14, 14 plus 4, that's 18. So 18 over 7 divided by, again we'll turn 1 1 over 8 into an improper fraction. So 8 times 1 is 8 plus the 1 on top, so that's 9 over 8, isn't it? Okay, so now it's time to turn division to multiplication. Division to multiplication, the fraction turns upside down, 8 over 9. So you could simplify as much as possible. Let's try to simplify. So, or else you can just multiply 18 into 8 and 7 into 9. Or you could cut off a little bit, 9 times 1. You could cut off 9 times 2. That makes it a little bit easier. So end of the day, I have 2 over 7 multiplied by 8 over 1, which multiplies to give me 8 times 2, that is 16 over 7. So this gives me the simplest answer, 16 over 7, which when I type in the cal, I get 16 divided by 7. The improper fraction, I get the mixed fraction 2 over 7. So you could do it from your head as well, 7 times. So your denominator is 7. And then you think 7 times, what's the closest you could go on to 16? So 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2, 14. 7 times 3, 21, which exceeds 16. So 7 times 2, 14 it is, 14. So then when you count 14, you get 15, 16. So there's 2 more. So 2 over 7, which is the show that. Right, so that's the end of question number 2. Okay, so in question number 3, let's move on to question number 3. The bearing of Paris from London is 149 degrees. Work out the bearing of London from Paris. Okay, so let's work on bearings. So bearings work on 3 major principles, as I say. So number 1, that is bearings are measured from the north. Number 2, bearings should be measured to the clockwise direction. Bearings are measured to the clockwise direction. And number 3, when you write a bearing, you must mention 3 digits in your bearing. Okay, so these are the 3 basic rules you need to follow when you're taking bearing. So they say here, the bearing of Paris from London. Okay, so first, whenever you are drawing working with bearings, so you need to draw a north. So from where? So from London. So that is, London is your starting point. So from London, you draw the north. The bearing of Paris from London is 149 degrees. So as you can see here, we measure our angles in the clockwise direction. So clockwise, so to the side of the clock, you can roughly measure 149 degrees. It does not need to be accurate. Okay, it does not need to be accurate. And then, so 149 degrees and you draw the line. Okay, so this is 149 degrees measured in the clockwise direction. Okay, so then when you go along this line, somewhere along this line, you meet the city Paris. Okay. Okay, now what do they want us to do? Work out the bearing of London from Paris. So you need to work out the bearing of London from Paris, which means now the north must be drawn at Paris. So now we draw the north at Paris, and then we need to measure the angle. The bearings are measured from the north to the clockwise direction. So I need to measure the bearing of London from Paris. So starting from here, I'll measure my angle to the clockwise direction. So you can see I come up over here. So this is the angle I get. So I need to get this angle. This is the bearing of London from Paris. So I need to calculate this angle. So what I first do is I'll be calculating this angle that I mark right now. So let me mark it as x. I'll first be finding x by using interior angles, because you can see here that two norths are there. So you have interior angles adding up to 180. So 149 plus the x equals to 180. Okay, so you have interior angles there. So your x being equal to 180 minus 149, which gives you 180 minus 149, which gives you 31. So this angle is 31. So x is 31 here. And then the bearing. So bearing answer. So what we need here is going to be 360 minus 31, isn't it? The full round is 360. We subtract the 31. So 360 minus 31, we end up getting 329. So the bearing will be 329 degrees, 3 digits. So 329, and this should be your answer for question number 3. Okay. Okay, question number 4. Make it a little bit larger. Okay, so the universal set includes the letters of the alphabet. So this includes all the letters in the alphabet, right? So set B has the spellings of the word Brazil, Brazil, and Ireland is set I. Okay, so part A lists the members of the set B union I. So when it comes to this union, it means you take everyone. You take everyone in set B, you take everyone in set I and try to give it in. If you can give it in odd, it would be great, or else that's fine. Just give the letters. So you need to list all the members in both these sets. Okay, so let's write down everyone. So if I go in order, I have letter A. Okay, so make sure everyone is crossed out. So A is there. Then we have B. So, and try not to repeat the words. So A is crossed out. Let me do it again. So A is crossed out. Make sure you cross it out from both. A is common to both, isn't it? So A is crossed out. Then I crossed out B. And then I can cross out B, C, D. And then I can cross out E. E, then F, G, H, I. I can cross out I. J, K, L. L is common to both. Can you see? L is common to both. So we can cut L. So I wrote L here, J, K, L. N. And then again, R is common to both. And finally, Z. Right? So these are the letters that are common to both, or else you just don't need to go in order. Okay, you really don't need to go in order. You can, simply go as it is. Just make sure that everyone is covered, and don't repeat any letter. Just don't repeat any letter. Make sure that all the letters are covered and that you don't repeat any of it. Okay. Right. So the next question, B intersection I dash. Okay. So B intersection. So intersection means to take the common thing. So the intersection or the common elements. The common elements between set B and set I dash. So what are the common elements between set B and I dash? Now B includes the letters in Brazil. and I dash. So I dash includes the letters who don't belong in this set. So the letters who are not in Ireland. So the letters who are not in Ireland, but they should be outside of the set I, but it should be included in your universal set. So basically, I dash includes all the letters that are not in Ireland, all the letters in the alphabet that are not included in Ireland, right? All letters that are not included in Ireland. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to write all of it, which will be a lot of letters. So what we can do is to get the intersection. So for example, check the letters that are not in Ireland. Okay, I dash means letters who are not in Ireland. Letters not in Ireland, because your universal set has the whole alphabet. So I includes a certain word letters in Ireland. I dash includes the letters who are not in Ireland. So for example, so B intersection I dash. Remember, we are trying to take what's common between B and the letters who are not in the word Ireland. Okay. So if you consider the letter B, so I think you can see letter B is there in the set B. Also, it's there in I dash because it's not in Ireland. So letter B is one answer. Okay, letter B is one answer here. And what else? What about R? So R, you can see in R is there in Ireland. So I can't take that. R does not work. R is there in Ireland. A is there in Ireland. So that also doesn't work. I want the letters who are the common letters between B and I dash. Okay. Then what about Z? You can see Z is there in set B, but Z is not there in Ireland, which means Z is part of our answer. So Z is correct. Okay, Z is correct. And then the next guy, what about the next one? I. So I think we can see I is there in Ireland. So that doesn't work. I doesn't work. And what about L? L is also there in Ireland. That doesn't work. Okay, so I need the letters that are common between B and I dash. So it's only just B and Z. So your answer for Roman number 2 should simply be B and Z. Okay. Then moving on to the next one. Okay, so next they have given you set K. Set K equals the letters in the word Kenya. Cody writes down the statement B intersection K is equal to a null set. So an empty set, meaning that he says, Cody says that there are no common elements in B intersection K. Cody's statement is wrong. Explain why. So obviously, to show that Cody's statement is wrong, you need to show that there is some kind of an intersection. So let's work it out. Set B and set K. So let's write it down. Set B. Set B had the letters Brazil. Probably B R A Z I L. Right? Set B had Brazil and set K has Kenya. So I think you can see why Cody's statement is wrong. Because you can see here, when you take B intersection K, the common elements, I think we can pretty much see A is common to both B and K, isn't it? A is common. Is that all? Do we have anyone else? B is not common. R, Z, I, L. So the other letters are not common, but A is common. So you can see the letter A. The letter A is a common element. A common element in both sets. Therefore, B intersection K is not a null set. It's not a null set. Therefore, Cody's statement is wrong. You could say something like that. Okay. Okay. So then we can, give some kind of a small explanation here. You have to give a small explanation. So basically, letter A is common in both the sets. So B intersection K is not a null set, and therefore Cody's statement is wrong. Okay. Okay, moving on to question number 5. So you can see that it's 5 marks. Okay, so A, B, C, D, and F, G, H, I are parallel straight lines. Okay, so they are parallel straight lines. We can see that. E, B, G, J, and E, C, H are straight lines. Okay, that also we can see. BE equals CE. It's marked here. So BE and CE, these two lines are equal. Angle BEC is 44. Work out the size of angle JGH. Okay, so we need to find this angle. Okay, so let's get on with the working. What do we need to do here? We need to find the value of this angle, the one that I marked in red. So that's our target. How do we work, get to our target? So they've told us that these two lines are parallel. Okay, so that's one rule. So then obviously we need to use the parallel line angles. Maybe we could go corresponding alternate. So these are things that comes into our head when we see the parallel lines. Okay. Then in addition to that, we also can see they've given us one angle at the very top here, angle 44. And one thing they say, one other interesting thing they tell us here is that BE and CE are equal, which gives you the indication that EBC is an isosceles triangle. So in an isosceles triangle, the angles at the base are equal, isn't it? So the angles at the base, so these two angles, they are equal. So I think you need to give a reason for each stage of your working. So it's important that you give a reason for each and every stage. So you could say, okay, so you must show workings and reasons for each and every stage. Okay, so let's get the angles. So let's work with getting angle EBC. So the angle EBC, if I write it at once, I think, I hope you guys will get it. So what we realize is that EBC and ECB, both of them are equal because the angles at the base of the angles at the base of an isosceles triangle are equal, isn't it? So these two angles are equal. So we find it by subtracting what? 180. From 180, we subtract the 44 and we could divide the answer by 2, isn't it? From 180, we subtract the 44. Then we get these two angles and those two angles are equal. So we divide it by 2 to get the size of one angle. Is that okay? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to find the value of EBC. So I understand EBC and ECB are equal. Both of them are equal. So anyway, EBC equals to 180 minus 44. And then you divide it by 2. And then you divide it by 2. Okay, so we'll write the answer for that. So before that, let's write down the reason. So the reason is angles at the base of an isosceles triangle are equal. Okay, so actually at this point, you could mention here that these two are equal. Angle EBC is equal to angle ECB, isn't it? So these two angles, EBC and ECB are equal, and the reason for that is angles at the base of an isosceles triangle are equal. And then you can find EBC. So that gives you the answer 180 minus 44 divided by 2. That gives you the answer 68. This is 68. Okay, EBC is 68. So you mark that as 68. Okay, and then the next thing we do, the next thing I can do is my target is to get this angle at G. So the next thing I do is I get this other angle, the one I'm marking in green. So that's going to be CBG, angle CBG. Angle CBG, how do I get this angle? So you can see it's actually angles on a straight line, right? 68 and this angle CBG are angles on a straight line. So 180 minus 68. So the reason, angles on a straight line, sum to 180. Okay, so then we get here 180 minus 68, which gives us, so 180 minus 68, it gives us 112. So CBG is 112. So this is a critical angle, and you will see now we are almost done, right? So we are almost done. Why? Because these two lines are parallel. They've given us that these two lines are parallel. So you can see that we have corresponding angles. As you can see the letter F, which we also call corresponding angle. So you can see the letter F here. So the angles at the corresponding angles are equal. So angle JGH directly, angle JGH Angle JGH directly equals to 112. Reason, corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are equal. Okay, so you need to make sure that you give all these methods. Okay, that the working is all clearly shown. So the answer is 112. Okay, so the answer is 112. Okay. Okay, question number 6. Mariana sells bags of bird food. The bags that M sold last week each contain 12 kilograms of seeds. Okay. The bags that she is going to sell next week will each contain a mixture of nuts and seeds, where for each bag, weight of nuts, the ratio to weight of seeds is equal 4 to 5. Okay, so be mindful here. So be a little bit mindful here. The first thing they are telling us a story around about 2 weeks. So they say here the bags that M sold last week each contain 12 kilograms of seeds. So that's last week. And next they are telling us a story about the bag she is going to sell next week. So we'll each contain a mixture of nuts and seeds, and they've given us what she's going to do next week. So in the next week, she's going to sell a combination, right? The bags are going to contain not only seeds, but nuts and seeds in the ratio 4 to 5. The total weights of nuts and seeds in each bag will be 19.35. So they've given you the weight of a single bag. They've given you the weight of a single bag. And you're supposed to find, okay, let's see what we need to find. The weight of seeds in each bag that M sells next week, that means this one, the amount she sells next week, the weight of seeds she sells next week will be less than the weight of seeds in each bag that M sold last week. So last week is this amount. So what you're selling the next week is lower than the amount she sold last week when you in the context of the seeds. Then they're saying work out this decrease as a percentage of the weight of seeds in each bag that M sold last week. Okay. So let's get it done. So we know last week. So you guys need to, if needed, you guys should take a pause here and read this question again. Okay, because it kind of confuses you, but it's what you need to do here is something quite simple. So last week, so here our focus is on the seeds. Okay, so last week she has sold 12 kilograms of seeds. Okay, so we have two stories here, last week and next week. So last week she has sold 12 kilograms of seed. Now next week, so our task in the actually the biggest task is we need to find how much of seeds is she going to sell in a bag the next week. Okay, so how much of seeds will she be selling in a bag in next week? So they've told us that the total weight of the bag is 19.35 kilograms, out of which the ratio nuts to seeds is 4 to 5. So you just need to divide this in that ratio. The weight should be simply divided in the 4 to 5 ratio. So I need the ratio for seeds. So you can see seeds have 5 parts. Seeds have 5 parts. So next week, the amount of seeds. So you can see you have 5 parts out of total. So 4 plus 9, you have 9 parts, isn't it? So out of 9 parts, so you have 5 parts containing seeds out of total 9 parts, and you need to divide your total weight 19.35 according to this ratio. So this gives you what? When you do this, you get the amount of seeds in a bag that you are going to put next week. Okay, so 5 parts out of total 9 from the total weight 19.35. Okay, 19.35 is the combined weight. So we divide it by 9 to make it into 9 parts and multiply by 5 because seeds have 5 parts of this bag. So just give the value in the cal. So what do we get here? So we get 5 over 9 into 19.35. So I end up getting 10.75. So 10.75 kilograms of seeds. 10.75 kilograms of seeds. So as you can see, they say in the question also, the weight of seeds that she sells next week, the amount she sells next week is lower, is lesser than what she sold last week. So last week she has sold 12 kilograms and next week she is selling 10.75. So they want you to find the percentage decrease. Okay, so as a percentage of the amount sold last week. So percentage decrease. So percentage decrease equals to the decreased amount over the last week amount, because they say here to find this percentage decrease out of the amount sold last week. Okay, so they told us what should be the base here. So the last week amount. Okay, decreased amount over last week amount multiplied by 100. So decreased amount is, you need to subtract them. So 12 kilograms is what you had last week. Now you have 10.75. So the decreased amount should simply be a subtraction. Over the last week amount is 12. So multiply this with 100. So this gives you the percentage decrease in the seeds. Okay. So let's get it. So we get here 12 minus 10.75 over 12 multiplied with 100, and we end up getting 10.4166. So actually we needed to one decimal place. So there's one decimal place. So 10.4. So 10.4% decrease. 10.4% decrease. So your answer here should be 10.4%. Okay. Okay, question number 7. So 3 marks. Here is a right angle triangle. Work out the value of x, giving your answer correct to one decimal place. Okay. So you can see it's a right angle triangle, and quite clearly you can see we have an angle marked 42 degrees, and they have marked two lengths here, 6.5 and x. So we need to find x. So the first thing that comes into my mind when I look at this is, obviously I'll have to go with either sine or cos or tan. So let's mark the values that we know. So always opposite of the 90 degrees is it's our hypotenuse. So it's a hypotenuse, and then opposite of the angle they marked is the opposite side. So this is the opposite, and the other remaining side is the adjacent. So, so obviously now we need to use one of three rules: sine, cos, tan. So we know sine theta, or in this case the angle is 42. So you must write sine 42. So sine 42 is opposite. So sine is opposite over adjacent, cos is adjacent over sine is opposite over hypotenuse, sorry. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent. So you need to know these rules, right? So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, the opposite side over the hypotenuse side. Okay. So you don't need to write that step, actually. You can skip that step. Okay, so I just wrote it down. So opposite is, in this case, 6.5 over hypotenuse is x. Okay, so now it's a matter of making x a subject. So x can be brought to the other side as a multiplication. So sine 42 multiplied by x equals 6.5. So you end up getting x equals 6.5 over sine 42. So it's a matter of typing it in the calc and actually getting the answer. So we get here 6.5 over sine 42. 6.5 divided by sine 42, and we end up getting 9.714. So correct one decimal place, x is 9.7, right? So x equals 9.7. So make sure you show the working, because you get 3 marks, and that is that those marks depend on your working that you show. Okay. Okay, question number 8. Solve the simultaneous equation 5a plus 2c equal 10, 2a minus 4c equals 7. Okay, so when it comes to solving simultaneous, what we do is normally we check for the figures. So here A, the variable A has the figures 5 and 2, variable C has the figures 2 and 4. So what I immediately observe here is that the variable C. So you can see here we have 2 and 4, which we can, to solve it simultaneously, we need to make one of these the numbers in one of the letters to be equal. The figures should be equal in one of the letters. So either you need to fix the letters, the figures in letter A, you have to make it equal, or you have to fix the figures in letter C. So you have to make them become, you have to make them look equal. So I can see here that it's easier to fix the letter C because I have already 4C in the second equation. So the first equation, if I multiply my first equation by 2, so I can easily get a 4C, which is what I want. So let's multiply our first equation by 2 and write down here. So what do we get? 5 times 2, then we get here 10A plus 2C into 2 is 4C equals 10 times 2 is 20. So that's the first equation. And second equation, you don't have to change anything. 2A minus 4C equals 7. Okay, so now you can see it's the simultaneous equation. So I've just multiplied the first equation by 2. Second equation is there as it is. So now what I got to do is I got to add these two equations. Why am I adding? Because the letters, the values are same and the signs are different. In letter C, you have different signs. So when you have different signs, we add the two equations. So you can simply add it downwards like this, or you could write adding. Okay, so I'll just add here. So I get here 10A plus 2A. Shall I just directly add downwards? So you can directly add downwards. 10A plus 2A is 12A. And you can see plus 4C minus 4C, that's a 0. Okay, so 10A plus 2A, 12A plus 4C minus 4C, that's a 0. So 20 plus 7, that gives you 27. So I end up getting here 12A equals 27, which gives me A equals 27 over 12. So 27 over 12 gives me the answer. So this gives me the answer 9 over 4, 2.25. So A equals to 2.25. So now, after you get C, it's not over yet. You need to find the value of your B. So you can substitute. So substitute A equals to 2.25. So into any one of the equations. So I'll substitute to the second one. 2A minus 4C equals 7. So replace A. 2 times A is 2.25. Minus 4C equals 7. So I'll take the minus 4C here and I'll take this 7 here. So twice of 2.25. So twice of 2.25, that gives me 4.5. That's 4.5. The plus 7 comes as minus 7 equals 4C. So C equals 4.5 minus 7. You divide by 4. The 4 comes down as a division, isn't it? So we get here 4.5 minus 7 divided by 4. 4.5 minus 7 divided by 4, we get minus 0.625. C equals minus 0.625. So write the answer for A. A equals to 2.25. C equals to negative 0.625. So make sure your answers are written clearly. Okay. Okay, moving on to question number 9. Factorize x square plus 2x minus 24. Okay, so here some of you might be able to, factorize this directly. You could write the two brackets. You are allowed to write the brackets directly here. You can think and get your factors. Or else, some of you might do it manually. And there are also ways to factorize by using the calculator. So however, if you are using the calculator, you really need to know what you are doing. Okay, so let me show you the quick manual way. However, I really would like the calculator method, which is so much easier. Okay, so what we do in the manual way is you get minus 24x square and you think of two figures who multiplies to give you minus 24 and who adds to give you plus 2. So 24, there are so many figures, 2 times 12, 6 times 4, isn't it, 3 times 8. So you have to think of the two figures who not only multiplies, but the sum, the addition should give you plus 2 as well. So that pair is, so I get it correctly by 4 times 6. So 4x times 6x, the multiplication. So if I give a plus 6 and a minus 4, you can see multiplying minus 4 into plus 6 is minus 24x square. Minus 4 plus 6, when I add, I'd get plus 2x. Okay, so these are the two factors. So you could write here x square minus 4x plus 6x minus 24, and then you take the common thing out from this pair. You take x out, you get x minus 4 plus 6, you get x minus 4. So then you get here x minus 4, x plus 6. So this is one way of getting your answer. So there may be many of you who might get this answer directly. So that's perfectly fine. There you won't be penalized. You can write the answer directly. Okay, you can write your answer directly at once. Or you could even use your calculator here. So however to use the cal, you really must know what you are doing, because there are certain rules when you're using this. So you go to mode number 5 equation, and you go to the quadratic. Say x square bx plus c, a is 1, b is 2, c is minus 24, and you get the answer x equals 4. So x equals 4, the bracket is x minus 4. Okay, so the value of x equals 4, the bracket is x minus 4. The other answer x equal minus 6, which means the bracket is x plus 6. So you could get this answer quite directly. Even with the cal, you can get the answer directly, and that's correct. Okay, just make sure you write the brackets with the signs correctly. Okay, right. So then the next one, solve. So hence solve, where the equation, so it's equated to 0. So x square plus 2x minus 24, we found it as x minus 4 times x plus 6 equals 24. So you make each bracket equal to 0, x minus 4 equals 0, or x plus 6 equals 0, x equals to 4, or x equals to minus 6. So these are your two figures. So 4 and minus 6. So if I write the smaller figure first, minus 6 and 4. So you have two answers for x here, minus 6 and x equals 4. Okay, so moving on to question number 10, it's 5 marks. Okay, so here is a triangular prism. Here's a triangular prism. Work out the volume of the prism, giving your answer to 3 significant figures. So, okay, so obviously when you're working with volume, the main equation we use for these kinds of shapes, when you have a constant, when you have a cross section. So you can see we have a cross section here, because we have the same triangular face starting at the front, also repeating at the back. So the shape, so it's a constant cross section here throughout the entire shape. So when you have a shape like this, we say the volume equals to the cross section, the cross sectional area into the length or into the height. So basically what we need to do is we need to get the area of our cross section. So here it's a triangular face prism, the front face and the back face. So it's the triangular face here is what we consider as a cross section, because it is going throughout the entire shape from the front to the back. Okay. So I need to get the area of the triangle. It's a right angle triangle. We could use half AB sine C, or we could use half into base into height. So any of them are okay. So here it's 11.2. Let me mark the 11.2 here as well. And you can see I need the height here. I need to find the value of h here. Without that, I can't get the area of the triangle. So obviously to get the value of the height, so I have to use what theorem? Yeah, so you need to think here, we need to use, to get the height, we can use the Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras theorem starts from the hypotenuse. So let's write it down. 11.2 square equals 7.4 square plus h square. Do you agree? 11.2 square equals 7.4 square plus h square. So let's get the h square value. 11.2 square, not plus, I'm going to take this to the other side, minus 7.4 square equals to h square. So let me write it down in this way. H square equals 11.2 square. Okay, so 11.2 square minus 7.4 square. So we get a value of 70.68. So h square is 70.68, which means h equals to square root of 70.68. So let's get the answer square. So square root answer, and I get a big decimal. So you can see now a major mistake that many students do here is that they write the answer. Okay, h equals 8.4, h equals 8.41. They just write the answer 3SF, or they just do it like that. But here one thing that you really need to note down here is your final answer should be written correct to 3SF. So this h here is an intermediate answer. So intermediate answers I recommend you taking, if you want your final answer correct to 3SF, intermediate answers take it at least to 5SF. Even more SF is better. Okay, so please do not take it to a lower significance or 3SF at the intermediate stage of your sum. Always use a higher significance when you are in the middle of the sum. Okay, so 8.4071 is what I will be using for H. H equals 8.4071. So I wrote around 5 significant figures here. Okay, so let's check on the 8.4071. Okay, so the more figures you write, the safer you are anyway. So 5 SF should be more than enough to save us. Okay, so I have my height in my right angle triangle. So now it's time to get the volume. So volume equals to the cross-sectional area. So volume equals to the cross-sectional area into the length. So what's the length here? Length here is actually the distance between the two cross-sectional faces. So you can see here that at the front I have one cross-sectional face, at the back I have another cross-sectional face. So length is actually the distance in between these two cross-sections. So you can see here the length should be 15. So this should be the length here because it's the distance between the two cross-sections. Okay, so length is 15. So cross-sectional area is the area of a single triangle. Okay, so we need the area of a single triangle, half into base into height or half AB sin C. Both of them work here because we have a right angle triangle. So half AB sin C, if I use, half into base into height is also basically the same. So if I use half AB sin C, half into A and B are always A and B should be adjacent to your angle, right? So adjacent to the angle, I have 7.4 NH. So half AB 7.4 NH. Let me erase this and take space. Half into 7.4 into H, which is 8.4071. Half AB, okay, sine C. Sine, the angle is 90 here because we have an angle of 90 here, isn't it? Half AB, A is 7.4, B is the H value, which is 8.401. Into sine 90, the angle in the middle of these two sides. Okay, half AB sine C into, multiply it with the length, which is 15. So I explained that the length is 15, the distance between the two cross sections. So now it's a matter of giving the whole thing in the cal, and then you can give your final answer to 3SF. So let's give the value here, half into 7.4 into 8.4071. Okay, into sine 90 into 15. So just make sure you double check that you typed it all correctly. Half into 7.4 into 8.4071 into sine 90 into 15. So this gives me the figure 466.59. So when we correct it to 3SF, the fourth significant figure here is 5. So 5 or more than 5, we add 1 and we get here 467 cubic centimeters. So correct to 3SF, the answer is going to be 467 cubic centimeters. Okay, so this is the volume. Okay, moving on to question number 11. Okay, Chengbo sold a house for 180,000 yuan. The amount for which he sold the house is 24% more than the amount he paid for the house. Work out how much C paid for the house. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so they are given the figure which he sold the house. The amount which he sold is 24% more than the amount which he paid. So this is the amount he paid. Obviously what we understand here is that he makes a profit, isn't it? So he paid for the house and he's having a gain of, he's having a profit of 24% when he's selling the house. So the selling price, the final price is given here. They're asking you how much he paid for the house. So what was the original price that he paid here? Right, so what do you do here? So let's say the price that he paid. So let's say the price he paid is X. So what do you do here? Now, obviously, the price he paid is X, and then you make a 24% profit, or you increase that amount. That the amount he paid is increased by 24%. So normally, when you are increasing by a certain percentage, we add the percentage to 100, isn't it? So to 100%, I add the 24%, which gives me 124%. So what we do is our original value should be increased by 24%, which means we take 124% of our original value to get the final value. Okay, so I hope you guys understand that this is simply like increasing. When you increase a value by a percentage, you add the percentage to 100 and multiply it with the original value to get the final value. So that's the normal theory. So the original price, the paid amount into the percentage which you added 100. Okay, 100 plus the percentage. So in this case, the 124% should equal to the final amount, the sold amount. Can you all understand? I hope this makes sense to you. So the paid amount here is X. 124% is simply 124 over 100 into sold amount is 180,000 yuan. So now let's make X the subject. The 100 will go up as a multiplication. 124 comes down as a division and we get our X figure here. So what is it? 180,000. 180,000 into 100 divide by 124 and I get, so do they want it to, they want a 3SF. So 145,161. So 145,161. So anyway, they want only 3SF. So first figure is 1, second figure 4, third figure 5, only 3SF. So the other figures you need to, so you can't remove the other figures. Obviously, you should know that you can't remove the other figures. You cannot remove the place value of the digits. So it's 145,161 yuan. So when you correct to 3SF, the figures are after 5. So the fourth, fifth, sixth figures. So you can see now the fourth figure is 1 lesser than 5. So we don't need to round it off also. So it's simply 145,000 yuan. So remember, you don't remove the 161 and just write 145. You can't do stuff like that. You cannot lose the numbers cannot lose their place values. Okay, 100,000 should be there as it is. So 145, the remaining figures, because they are not significant, we make them zeros here. So 145,000 yuan. Okay, so that's the answer for question number 11. So then moving on to question, so question number 11, part A. So now we are moving on to part B. Z bought a house on 1st of January 2017. When she bought the house, its value was 120,000 yuan. The value of the house increased by 1.8% per year. Work out the value of Z's house on 1st January 2020. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So obviously you need to realize that we have not just 1 year, but we have a couple of years. So 2017 Jan to 2018, that's 1 year. 2019, that's another year. 2020, that's another year. So you have 3 years, isn't it? 2017 Jan to 2018, 2019, 2020, there are 3 years here. So each year, the value of the house increases by 1.8%. So they want the value of the house after 3 years. Obviously, we can use the equation for compound interest here. So compound interest equation A equal P 1 plus R over 100 to the power n. So you could do this manually or you could use a compound interest formula. A stands for the final value, P stands for the principal amount, or we can say in this situation the initial value. And R is the rate by which you are increasing and n is the number of years. So the final amount is what I need to find. The beginning amount is 120,000 into 1 plus rate is 1.8 over 100. You don't have to add the rate, it's increasing. But even though it's increasing, you don't need to add the percentage to 100 because that is already accounted by for this 1. When you add 1 plus this, it will add that 100% here. So you don't need to specially add it again. So just apply the rate to the formula and then n is 3. Okay, so 120,000 into 1 plus rate is 1.8 over 100 to the power of 3. So just type the whole thing in the cal. So you get here 120,000 into bracket 1 plus 1.8 over 100 to the power of 3. So I end up getting here, 126,597.33. Okay, so I don't need the decimal. 126,597. 126,597. There are decimals coming. However, that's fine because all we need is 3 significant figures. So once again, check your significant figures. So first, second, third figure and check the fourth figure. So fourth figure is 5. 5 or more than 5, you need to add 1 here. So you when you make it to 3 years, if you get here 1, 2, 7, and the remaining figures will become 0. So 127,000 yuan. So this is the price of the house after 3 years on the 1st of January 2020. Okay. Okay, moving on to question number 12. The cumulative frequency table gives information about the distance in kilometers that each of 80 workers travel from home to work at office A. Okay, so this gives us the information about the distance. So it's a cumulative frequency table. Okay, so distance between 0 to 5, you have 17 workers, 0 to 10 kilometers, 32. Likewise, okay, so they've filled out. So on the grid below, draw cumulative frequency graph for the information in the table. Okay, so you need to draw the graph. So I'm sure that you all may know the basics of drawing this graph. So let me draw. So starting value at 0 kilometers, you mark 0. At 0, you mark the 0. Okay, so let me bring this table over here because when I move, I'm not seeing it. So I'm going to bring this table over here. Okay, so I have here at 0, I have 7. At 0, it's 0. And then I have at 5. So the value for the cumulative frequency is 17 at 5. So at 5, it's 17. And then, okay, at 10, we have 32. So here is 10. At 10, we have 32, right? So try to mark it properly. And then at 15, we have cumulative frequency 57. At 15, we have the cumulative frequency 57. So I think over here, right? Okay, 57. 50, yeah. And then at 20, we have the cumulative frequency 70. At 20, we have 70. Okay, and then at 25, we have 76. At 25, oh wait, this got smudged. 20, we have, sorry, how much was it? At 20, we had 70, right? At 20, we had 70. And then again at 25, we had 76. 76, so this is 75, this should be 76. And then finally, 30, you have 80. At 30, you have 80. Right, okay, so now it's time to draw the graph. Okay, so let's draw the graph. Okay, so let's draw the graph. How does it work here? Okay, so draw it with the pencil. So I'm gonna, okay, let's try to draw the graph as smooth as possible. Okay, otherwise the answers you get in the next part depends on the graph you are drawing. So the graph needs to be smooth. You cannot use a ruler to draw this graph. Try to make it as smooth and try to draw it in one line. Try to make it as neat as possible. Okay. So it shouldn't, it should have a curving kind of a surface. Let me try to draw it from the other side. So I think we get something like this. Okay, I'm not entirely happy with what I'm drawing. Okay, you can see I'm taking several attempts at drawing the graph, until I'm satisfied. Okay, so something like this, it needs to be really. Okay, so try to, draw the, make sure it has a, try to make sure it goes in a uniform way. So as you can see, I keep redrawing my graph to make sure, because over here we need to have this kind of a small bend here, so it needs to work out nicely. Okay. Okay, so this is our curved graph. Okay, so I get something like this. Okay, let's try to answer the next questions. The next set of questions. So here, use your graph to find estimate for the median distance travel. Okay, how do we find the median distance travel? So the total amount of workers we have here is 80. So to get the median, so the median we find by using the formula n divided by 2. Right, so for continuous, or we call for group data, we use the formula n divided by 2, so 80 divided by 2, and we get the 40th position. So I need to find the distance traveled by the 40th employee. So the 40th, so you go to the cumulative frequency diagram and find the 40th position and try to get that value. So I get some value like over here. So I get a value like 14. Okay, so I get a value, sorry, it's not 14, I'm sorry. So it's 10, here it's 15, which means 2 squares equal 1, isn't it? 2 squares equal 1. So 10, 11, so I get a value like 12, 13, 14 is over here, isn't it? I think you need to first read the scale. Be very careful of the scale. You can see here 2 units equal 1, right? 2 units, 2 small squares equal 1. So here 2 small squares are 10, 11. It's going to be 12. So the value that I'm getting something close to a 12. So okay, I'm getting something close to a 12. So median I get is 12. So it depends on your graph. So in your graph, if you get a median of something like 11, 10.5, 11.5, so they are okay. Okay, so they are okay. So just get the value that most works for you, that best works for you. Okay, so just put the value that you get. Okay, so then in here, the next one, use your graph to find an estimate for the interquartile range. So interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. We need to get the third quartile and the first quartile. Third quartile is 3n over 4. 3 into 80 divided by 4. So this gives me how much? 3 divided by 8, so that's 20 into 6, that's 60, right? It's the 60th position. So let's get the 60th position from the graph. 60th position from our graph. So I get a figure something around 16. I get a value like something around 16, really. Okay, so I get Q3 is 16. Then let's get Q1. Q1 is directly n divided by 4, which is 80 divided by 4, which is the 20th position. So 20th position, if I get it from my graph, I get nearly a value of something like 6. So I get a value something close to 6. Right? So it's 6. So I get a value close to 6. And so the interquartile range. So the interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. 16 minus 6. So the answer is 10. So interquartile range is 10 kilometers. That's what I get here. Okay. So I get here 10. Okay. So now let's move on to the next part. For office B, the median distance workers travel from home to work is 15 kilometers. Okay, so now they're talking about another office. Now, the graph here was drawn for office A. So now we are going to talk about another graph, that's office B. Okay, so in office B, the median distance workers travel from home to work is 15 kilometers. And the interquartile range is 5 kilometers. So obviously, we will be asked to make a comparison here, right? So use the information above to compare the distances that the workers at office A and workers at office B travel from home to work. Write down 2 comparisons. So obviously they expect you to compare the medians and they expect you to compare the interquartile range, and they would not want you to write something very basic here, because you can see now median is 12 for A, median is 15 for office B. So just don't write the basic thing. Median for office B is higher. You should not write something like that. You need to write it with, to make sense. So when the median is higher, the median distance, you can say something like office the people, I mean the workers in office B travel a higher distance, because you can see their median distance is higher. Okay, so you can say office B workers travel a further distance. Okay, office B workers travel a comparatively higher distance than office A. So you could say something like that. Okay, so just don't write only the median, because that does not make any sense. You need to have some kind of sense here. So median, I mean the end of the day, that you can see office B has a higher, the workers who travel to office B, they have a further travel distance to travel than the office A member. So you can write office B workers travel a travel a higher distance compared to office A. Since, why? Since median of B is greater than median of A. So you could say something like that. Okay, they travel a higher distance. Why? Because their median is higher than the median of office A. So you say it like this, and it's with fully given with reasons supported. Then the second thing is, obviously we will be comparing the interquartile range. The interquartile range for office A is 10 and interquartile range for office B is 5. So interquartile range, you need to know what it really means. Interquartile range means how much your data is spread around the median. So how far it is spread apart. So you can see here that so the variability, actually we use the word here, how much your data is varying around the median. So you can see here in office B, we have 10 kilometer spread around the median. So your data varies, the distances vary by around 10 kilometers. I mean, there is a variability here. While in office B, the interquartile range is only 5. So here, the variability is lower. Okay. So, how varying it is, or we even use the word how spread out the data is. Okay. So interquartile range shows how spread out your data is. So you need to use those words. Don't simply use interquartile range for B is lower than interquartile range for A. So that is not how you should write your answer. You need to write it in a proper way, because if you do write it like that, you will not get the mark. Okay, so you need to write here the distances, or you could say the distances for office A, because it's the distances for office A workers is more spread out, or it's more varying than office B. Okay, it's more spread out, or it's more varying than office B. Why? Because the interquartile range of office A is higher than the interquartile range of office B. Okay, so you need to give some kind of an answer in context, otherwise you will not be getting the mark here. Okay. Okay, so moving on to question number 13. Emily takes part in 2 races. The probability that she wins the first race is 0.7. The probability she wins the second race is 0.4. The outcomes of the 2 races are independent. Complete the probability tree diagram. So what's the rule in a probability tree diagram? Every branch, the total probability for every branch should be 1. So that's the rule. So then because you have the 2 possibilities here. So the 2 possibilities in the first race are either Emily wins or either she does not win. So there are only 2 possibilities. You don't have anything more than 2. So the total probability is 1, right? So then out of the total probability 1, the possibility of winning is 0.7, which means the possibility she doesn't win is 1 minus 0.7. 1 minus 0.7, which leads you to 0.3. Okay. So it's really important that you understand that each outcome the branch, it gives the total probability of 1. So then here winning is 0.7. So losing should be 1 minus 0.7, which is 0.3. Similarly, you go to the other branches also. So you have the second race winning probability 0.4, which means the losing probability is 1 minus 0.4, which is 0.6. And then for the second race, it's going to be the same. Even though you go in the first branch where she's winning the first race and you go to the second race and she loses and goes to the second race. So those are the two options here. So whatever it is, to win the second race, the probability is 0.4 because this is for the second race. So probability of winning the second race is 0.4. So losing it is 0.6. Okay, so this is the outcome for the first race and for the second race. Work out the probability that Emily wins exactly one of the two races. So she wins only one. So what are the outcomes here? The first branch, if you go, she wins both win-win, right? So the second branch, you can see she wins. First race she wins, second race she loses. So win-lose. The third branch, the first, you go down in the first race. First race she doesn't win, she loses, and the second race she wins. So lose-win. And in the last one we have where she's losing the first race, she's losing the second race. So that's the last one where she loses both. So we are asked to find the probability she wins exactly one of the two races. So which branches are we talking about? First branch has 2 wins in both the races. Second branch has 1 win. Third branch also has 1 win. The last one, there are no wins. So I want that she has exactly 1. She has exactly 1 win. So that means I'm going to talk about branches 2 and 3. So along the branch, the rule is that the probabilities are multiplied. Along the branch, you multiply the probability, and in different branches, we add the probability. So you get here 0.7 multiplied by 0.6. 0.7 multiplied by 0.6 plus you go to the next branch 0.3, you multiply it with 0.4. Okay, so different branches you must add your probability. So I get here 0.7 into 0.6, that is 0.42. 0.3 into 0.4, 0.12. So I end up getting how much? 54. Yeah, 0.54 is the probability. Okay, so 0.54, 0.54 is the probability that you win exactly one of the two races. Okay, so then let's move on to part C. There's a part C here. Let's read the question. Emily is going to take part in a third race. Okay, so we are having another extension. So our tree branch had first race, second race. So now we are talking about a third race. If she wins both of the first two races, the probability she will win the third race is 0.6. If she wins exactly one of the first two races, the probability she will win the third race is 0.3. Work out the probability that Emily will win exactly 2 of the 3 races. So what you could do here is you could, do a quick extension to your tree diagram. Okay, so what you would, first read the question again. Okay, so there are 2 probabilities you need to mark here. Okay, if she wins the first 2 races, the probability she'll win the third is 0.6. If she loses one of the 2, that means if she wins only one of the first 2 races, the probability she'll win the third race is 0.3. Okay, they have not said anything about the losing both and winning the third one. So this branch they have not said because they are not interested in that, because they want you to find the probability that Emily will win exactly 2 of the 3 races. Okay. So what we do here is simply, what I would do here is simply, you could do a quick extension to your tree diagram. So this is the third race. Emily wins and Emily loses. Wins and loses. Wins and loses. The fourth one you don't need here, because if she doesn't win both, you don't have a chance of winning 2 out of 3, right? So you can't win 2 out of 3 races when you have lost 2 already. So the last branch does not count. Okay. So in here, so this one you have win, lose, win, lose, and win, lose. Okay. So this one you should do it from the pencil and probably erase it off, because you should not, smudge this area over here. So if she wins both of the first 2 races, which means we are definitely talking about the first branch. In the first branch, you have won both the first 2 races. The probability she'll win the third race is 0.6. So probability of winning the third race is 0.6. So this is 0.6, which means losing probability is 0.4. So it's important you mark it down. Okay. Okay. So the next one. if she wins one of the first two races, if she wins one of the first two races means looks like the second branch and the third branch, right? So if she wins one of the first two races, the probability she'll win the third race is 0.3. Okay, so if she wins one, now the out of the first two races, you can see here, win one, lose one. So if she wins one of the first two races, the probability she'll win the third race is 0.3. Can you see? So if she wins one of the two, so you can see here, first race she won, second she lost. So she has won one of the two. So third race, the probability of winning third is 0.3. Similarly, even in the other branch, she lost the first one, she wins the second one in third branch. Losing one, winning one, she has already won one. So winning the third race is 0.3. Then you need to think about the losing probability. So total probability 1, losing should be 0.7. Okay, is that clear? So now what do they want us? They want us to work out the probability she will win exactly 2 of the 3 races. So only winning 2. So what are the branches? She wins only 2 races. So if I go along the very first branch, win, win, win. So there are 3 wins here. So this is 3 wins. So they want exactly winning 2 races. Second branch here, win, win, and lose. So there you can see we have 2 wins and 1 loss. Okay, next branch, this guy, win, lose, win. Win, lose, win. So that looks okay, right? Win, lose, win. So I have lost, I have won 2 rounds. The other one, so trace the path. So you can see here, you come from here, win, lose, lose. Okay, and then the next one, lose, win, win. Do you see it? I hope you guys can see. I track the branch from the from this in here. So lose, win, and win. And then this one, lose, win, lose. Okay, and then what they want us is they want us to calculate the probability she will win exactly 2 of 3 races. So winning 2, exactly winning 2. So exactly winning 2 we have in this branch, exactly winning 2 we have here, and exactly winning 2 we have here. So none of the other branches work out. So there are 3 branches. So you should, along the branch probabilities are multiplied and then you should add it. I hope you guys can see why we didn't even bother to take win, lose here, because you can see you already have lose, lose, win and lose, lose, lose. So then you don't even have, anyway, you don't have 2 wins here. You will never get 2 wins when you go along the lose, lose branch. So that's why they didn't even bother to give us the probabilities here, because we are only interested in finding the probabilities of exactly winning 2. So then I have 3 branches that I'm interested in. So I need to get the probabilities and multiply them out and add them. So this branch, it's, so let's take the branch I want, this guy. So points, so this one. So this win, win, lose. So that's the first one, which is 0.7 into 0.4 into 0.4. So right over here, 0.7 into 0.4 into 0.4. That's the first branch. Plus, so you have to add, isn't it? You have to add it. The second branch is gonna be, second one it's gonna be, so win, lose, win. Okay, so along the branch at the probability, so don't actually, color your paper and do anything like this. You need to remove all these other things and make the paper very clear for part A. So here, 0.7 into 0.6 into 0.3. 0.7 into 0.6 into 0.3. Plus there's another one branch. So which is this one. So lose, win, win. So 0.3, 0.4, 0.3. 0.3 into 0.4 into 0.3. Okay, so now it's a matter of, so that's it. We only have these 3 branches where you have 2 wins, right? So those are the only branches where you have 2 wins. So take the cal, type the whole thing. We end up getting 0.7 into 0.4 into 0.4 plus 0.7 into 0.6 into 0.3 plus 0.3 into 0.4 into 0.3. So just check it out again. 0.7 into 0.4 into 0.4. So if you want, you could give brackets around this, but not actually necessary because the calculator identifies in the middle of multiplication, the plus is a separator. So anyway, if you feel it's confusing, you could give a bracket or you could find each part separately. 0.7 into 0.6 into 0.3 plus 0.3 into 0.4 into 0.3. So you could get each of these probabilities separately and add it. Okay, so you could do that, or you could get it exact directly like this. So 0.274 is the answer finally. So the answer is 0.274. So this one was a little bit tricky because you really needed kind of like the help of this tree diagram, right? So at the end of the day, you could try to just keep this neat over here. You should not scribble and make it all colorful. You can't do anything like this in the exam. So I was using colors to make it clear to you all how it's calculated. Okay. So make sure you show the working that you really need to show all these probability figures here. It needs to be seen, okay, to get the method mark, because without the method, you don't get the accuracy mark. You should know that. So make sure you show the method here with these three probabilities, and then you write the answer. Okay. Okay, so question number 14. Simplify fully 9x to the power 4 over 16y to the power 10 to the power of minus half. So when you have a negative power, so the best thing, the recommendation is first you deal with the negative power. How? You need to just simply turn the whole thing inside of this bracket. Just take it the reciprocal, turn it upside down, and the negative power immediately becomes positive. So if you write here 16y to the power 10 divided by 9x to the power 4, then the power is a plus half. So remember, now the power becomes a positive. So earlier our power was a negative half. So now turn the fraction upside down, the whole thing inside, and you get a positive power here. So now apply the positive power to all the values here. So you get 16 to the power half. So you get y to the power 10 and power half. So you should know when there is already an existing power, the powers multiply. So 10 into half, you get power 5. And you get here 9 to the power of half into x to the power 4. Already x has a power 4. So 4 into half, you get power 2. So simplifying 16 to the power half, you could type in the cal, or you could understand 16 to the power half is simply square root of 16, isn't it? So that is 4 times y to the power 5 over 9 to the power half is again like square root of 9, which is 3x square. Okay, you could type it in the cal, or you could use your common sense. 16 to the power half is actually 4, isn't it? So you end up getting here 4y to the power of 5 over 3x square. So this should be your answer for question number 14. Okay. Okay, question number 15. Complete the table of values for y equal 1 over x square plus 4. Okay, so this is quite simple. You take your cal and you could type the whole equation in your cal as it is. Okay, by using the alpha button. So the alpha button activates the red color areas in your cal. So I'll type here 1 over, so alpha button, and you press this open bracket here, which types the x on top of this button. I can see x here, as you can see. So 1 over x multiplied by open brackets x square. So alpha, and I again press x and give the power 2 here. So x square, can you see? So x square plus 4. So it's quite straightforward. You can give the whole equation in the cal, and then the calculator could put the values for you. So you give the calculate option, calc option, and give the x value. So the first x value is 0.25. So first x value is 0.25, and I get 65 over 4, which is 16.25. Can you see? So you can check whether your calculator gives you the correct answer also. See? So we got 16.25. The next x figure I need to give is calc, and you give the next x figure 0.5. So 0.5, that gives you the answer 8.5. So let's give the answer 8.5 here. And next x equal 1, calc x equal 1, and you get the answer 5. So x equal 5, y equal 5, and x equal 1, y equal 5. The next one, calc x equals 2. So when x is 2, we get the value y equals 4. And then again we go for calculate, and we give x equals 4, and we get y equals 5. And then again finally x is 8, so calc x is 8, and then check the answer whether it comes correctly. 8.5. So you can see we get the correct answer from the cal. Right? So these are the table, the values for completing the table. Okay, so now in the next page, I think they ask us here on the grid, draw the graph of y equal 1 over x square plus 4 in the range. Okay, so they've given us a range. Anyway, we need to just simply plot the graph. So all you got to do is take the table of values and plot it. So let me take this table of values. I'll make a copy and take it to the other side. Because it's I don't want to turn all the time. Okay, so let's take the table. Okay, so I took a copy of the table over here. Now let's draw a graph. Okay, on the grid, draw the graph 1 over x square plus 4. No tricks here, right? Yeah, there are no tricks. So we simply need to draw a graph. So 0.25, 16.25. So I think you can see that, okay, we need to mark the place as accurately as we can. 0.25. So where is 0.25? This is 1. So exactly in the middle of 1 and 0, we have half. So 0.25 will be in the middle of 1 and 0.5, isn't it? 0.25. Okay, so remember 0.25 will exactly be in the middle of 1 and half. Okay, so this is going to be 0.25. So anyway, what do they want? X is 0.25, Y is 16.25. So 16.25, how do we mark 16.25 here? So if you take the axis, the y-axis, you can see 5 squares are representing 1 unit, right? So 5 squares, y-axis, you can see 5 squares are representing 1 unit, which means 1 square represents 1 divided by 5. So 1 divided by 5 is 0.2 units. So 1 square represents 0.2 units. Okay, so then you get here 16.25. Okay, so how do I mark here? So this one small square is 16.2. So this will be 16.4, right? Okay, so 16.25 we'll have to mark as closely as we can. So it's not going to be exactly accurate. So okay, so 0.25 and 16.25. So if I mark the value, so I end up getting somewhere close over here, right? So 0.25 is in the middle of the square, and 16.25 is going to be somewhere in the middle, isn't it? 16.2, the other one is 16.4. I hope you guys can see 16.2, 16.4. Okay, so 16.25 will be obviously in the middle, so you can't exactly mark it. So mark it as best to your ability as you can. So something like this should be fine. Okay, so the next point, 0.5 and 8.5. So I don't think that's much of a difficulty. 0.5 is over here. 8.5. So 8.5 is exactly in the middle of 8 and 9. So 0.5 and 8.5. So it's over here, right? 0.5 is exactly in the middle. 8.5 is exactly in the middle of 8 and 9. So we mark that point. Okay, next point. 1, 5. I think only the first coordinate was giving us some trouble, but the other coordinates we can easily mark. 1, 5. 2, 4. X is 2, y is 4. 4, 2, 4. Next one, 4, 5. So 4, 5 is over here, right? Next one, 8, 8.5. So 8, 8.5 is above over here. 8, 8.5. So 8.5 comes like over here, right? Okay, so we get something like this. So all we got to do is to draw the graph. Okay, so just draw the graph and in the best of your ability. Try to make it not to make it, how do you say? Don't keep the rule. It's a curved graph, so it needs to be drawn as accurately. Drawn with a smooth line. Try to draw it smoothly. So let me try to draw it. So I think we get something like this. Okay, so let's try to draw it. Okay, and then something like this. So we get something that roughly looks like this, right? So try to make it as smooth and try to draw it as neatly as possible. Okay, so we end up getting a graph that looks like this. So make sure your coordinates are all marked as accurately as possible. Okay, the coordinates should be marked correctly, and you try to draw the graph as try to draw it as smoothly as you can. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to question number 16. A is inversely proportional to the square of R. Okay, so inversely proportional in the sense, you know how inversely proportional works. So 1 over. So this is what we mean as inversely. So if it was directly, you would write A in proportion, and directly you would write R square. So inversely proportional, you write 1 over the square of R, so R square. To remove the proportional sign, you put a constant, so K over R square. The next thing you do is they have given you the A value, A equals 5 when R equal 0.3. So then from this you can get the value of your K. So 5 multiplied by 0.3 square gives you K, which is, so 5 multiplied by 0.3 square is, so that gives me 0.45. K equals 0.45. So the question here is not to find the value of K, they are asking me to find the formula. So the formula for A in terms of R is A equal K over R square. So K value was found as 0.45 over R square. So you can write the formula here, A equals 0.45 over R square. So this is what you need to show the formula. So getting K and stopping from this point, you would lose 1 mark. You need to find the K and substitute the value of K and write the formula. So in your answer, in the space of the answer, you must write the formula. The next one, find the value of A when R equals 7.5A. Okay, find the value of A. So A equal 0.45 over R square. They are asking you to find A when R is 7.5A. So R square here. So R is 7.5A. So R square. We have R square here, isn't it? R is 7.5A. So that value should be square. So let's simplify. A equal 0.45. 0.45. So when we square it, we get here 7.5 square times A square. So let's work on this. I'll bring the A square to the other side. I mean the 7.5, you could keep it down over here, right? I hope you guys can see now. You could bring the 7.5 and multiply A square, the whole thing to the other side as a multiplication. But I mean, I want to keep all my A terms in one side. So I'll just bring the A square only here. A square comes to the other side as a multiplication with A to give you A cube equal 0.45 over 7.5 square. So when you multiply 0.45 over 7.5 square, that gives me 1 over 125. So A cube is 1 over 125. So A equals to, so what do? You need to take the cube root, or we say the power of 1 over 3, 1/3. So the cube root. So you take the 1/3 power here, isn't it? Then it removes, I mean, both sides, you take the 1/3 power. So then it removes the power 3. Okay, so equals 1 over 125 to the power 1 over 3. So that's actually, you know, some of you may already know it even without typing in the calc. Okay, so it's going to be simply 1 over 5. So here 1 over 3, 1 over 125 to the power 1 over 3. Answer for A is A equals 1 over 5. So answer for A is 1 over 5, which is 0.2. Right? A equal 1 over 5, which is 0.2. Okay.